Ladies and or gentlemen, welcome back or welcome to the channel. My name is Zeno and this is my living legacy. I wanted to touch on Ghost of Tsushima. Played this game for the very first time after 4 years since its release. It released on the PS4 back in July 17th, 2020. It did get its PS5 release on August 2021, so 13 months later. And just recently, back in May 16th on 2024, it's when it's got its PC release. Now, I played this on PlayStation 5. I played the Director's Cut, and it was free on PlayStation Plus. So that's really amazing, considering the staggering quality of this game, which we'll get into. But yeah, I'd never played of Ghost of Tsushima before. I'd seen a little bit of gameplay of it, obviously over the last 4+ years and prior to release. I'd seen lots of stuff about it, but I managed to stay mostly spoiler free, which was really nice, except for like two key very badly spoiled moments to do with your horse and your uncle at the end of the game, which I remember watching a friend in Discord stream it 4 years ago. I happen to remember those two pieces, and they're very pivotal moments to the plot. So I was like, oh, I kind of remembered that. But apart from that, I managed to go in pretty much blind, and I just had such a fun, fan-freaking-tastic time with this game. This video isn't going to be scripted in any way. I'm just going to have some random footage and stuff that I captured playing in the background. But yeah, 4 years later, I finally sat down. I've played Ghost of Tsushima. I've also platinumed it as well. I've gotten all the trophies. I just finished the Ikki Island DLC the other day, and I got all the trophies in those 2 DLC packs. I actually started playing this game back in May. So this is like 4 months ago now. So I started on the 20th of May, and I got the Platinum Trophy for the main game on the 16th of July. So it's actually been 2 months since I finished Ghost of Tsushima. But then I just finished off the DLC because I took a bit of a break. Because I've spent like 80 hours on this game and in this world now with Jin Sakai. So I kind of want to take a break between the main game and then playing the DLC, because the DLC is included for free in the Director's Cut on PS Plus. But I'm gonna go back and finish the New Game Plus trophies on the PlayStation side back when, well, not back when, but when the next game inevitably gets announced, the sequel, Ghosts of whatever it may be, and I'll run through the game again quickly on New Game Plus just to familiarize myself with the story and the characters in the world before the next game comes out. But this game's been on my mind for the last several months now. As I said, I've been playing it technically on and off for 4 months, and I really struggle to see many negatives. Like, everyone's going to have some things they don't like about the game, but I look here and I'm like, the characters, the side content, the world itself and the exploration, the story, just the vibe and the setting, and it's just a really good game. Like, I struggle to find too many negative things that I would say about it, to be honest. And I mean, I guess I'll just say this now, but like, there's nothing that I'm going to say that you probably haven't heard the last 4 years about this game from people that like have played it, reviewed it, criticized it, positively, negatively, doesn't matter. Everything you've seen online, it's all basically true. This is like a near masterpiece, open world, third-person action samurai game styled in Japan. Like, Sucker Punch really just said, Ubisoft, you refused to do Assassin's Creed in Japan? Fuck it, we'll do it ourselves. And they just happened to create one of the best open worlds ever and one of the best Japanese style games ever. Like, it's just fantastic. So I guess we'll touch on a little bit of the characters first, because I want to speak a bit about Jin Sakai, the main character of the story. And just like he's a little bit about his journey and some of the side characters that you come across. I loved him. I loved Jin Sakai, the main character. I thought he was fantastic, especially because obviously you're a noble samurai. You know, you're supposed to fight with honor and you have a code of conduct to you. And so it was really just fun seeing his story, because the first chapter of the game, at least from what I remember, it's been 4 months already, you just go from trying to be like a noble samurai and trying to do the right thing when you can, and only dipping into the, quote-unquote dark side of being like the Ghost of Tsushima when you absolutely have to. I mean, obviously on the player side of things, you can choose to be a samurai, or you can choose to be more of a ghost and use ninja weapons whenever you want. But story-wise, it's not until the end of like chapter 1, chapter 2, where you really start to embrace the dark side, essentially, and I will do whatever it takes. Like, Jin's like, I will do whatever it takes to save the people, to stop the Mongols from invading, and to drive them off the island, and to defeat and kill Khotun Khan, And it's just really cool to see that change because it's actually reflected in the main story itself, not just the player side on how you prefer to play the game. And of course, that takes into part his uncle, which you rescue at the end of like chapter 1. Oh, chapter 1 or chapter 2? No, chapter 1, yeah. You rescue your uncle from the castle, Canada? I don't remember. And he's like, Jin, come with me. We'll be honorable samurai together and we'll take back the island. And Jin's like, yeah, sure, buddy. Not a problem, uncle. And in the background, he's like assassinating people and shooting them in the back of the head and doing everything like he's not supposed to do. So, and it's kind of nice because at the end of chapter 2, you have to like infiltrate a castle. All the samurai are getting like killed off and everything because the Mongols are just barbarians essentially. They're doing whatever they want and they're killing you however they want to. And Jin gets into like an altercation with his uncle, like, I'm gonna do it my way because I'm gonna save everyone. And he poisons the entire castle. And then by the time that your uncle rocks up, it's like, what have you done? You've dishonored the samurai, you've dishonored the shogun. And Jin's like, I fucking did what I had to do to save lives, and I saved all the people, and no, there was less bloodshed. And then you end up being like on the run for chapter 3 until you inevitably have to, you know, like meet up with your uncle at the end, and there's a choice that happens. But I really liked it because it incorporated not just your preferential gameplay into the story. It actually just like, you can see it. You see he's changed from chapter 1 to chapter 2 to chapter 3, from the way he interacts with side characters, the main characters. You can even like the main bad guy of the game, Kochen Kam. He even like talks to your uncle when he's captured in chapter 1, like, hey, your nephew Jin Sakai, he's going around doing all these horrible, dishonorable things. And your uncle's like, no, that's not my Jin Sakai. He would never do something. And I'm just assassinating people in the dark. But I loved it. I thought the story was really great. The main bad guy, Koten Khan, he was fine. Like, he's pretty stereotypical, like, bad guy. Like, he doesn't seem to have like there's no like big plot twist with the bad guy or anything like that. There's more plot twists with the other characters, but it was okay. The only thing I will give him though is like a big positive is he commands screen time in a way. Like when he's on the screen, like his voice actor's really cool. I really like the voice actor for him as well, and how he's portrayed. But when he's on the screen, it's just like you pay attention to this man because he's like a big bulking Hulky-like figure. He's got all this really cool armor. He beats the crap out of you at the start of the game as well because you go to fight him. And like he commands screen presence. I guess that's the best way I can say it. I don't know how. But so I like that aspect of him. I just wish we maybe actually got more of him. But apart from that, like the story's great. I loved it. I love the characters. I love the dynamic between Jin, the side characters, and then your uncle. And then the conflict that you have between being the samurai and then being the ghost, the thing that the people need. And I really liked that. Story was fantastic. But speaking of characters, I did want to touch on some of the side characters and the tales that you can do around the world. Because I think that's actually one of the biggest strengths of Ghost of Tsushima, and the beating heart of the game is the interactions and the characters that you have, because they're all so unique. I loved all the side stories. The game starts with you getting rescued by Yuna, who's like a thief. And then she's got her brother, the blacksmith Taka, and obviously rest in peace Taka, his best brother. After what happened to Taka and you find the armor that he specifically made you, the ghost armor, I never took that off, just respect for Taka. That was my favorite appearance-wise. But just the other characters that have ties to your family or just like or friends of your family, like you have the female warrior, Lady Masako, the Adachi clan. I thought her story was really cool as well, because you have to go through the whole game, and there's like 9 different side quests through the 3 different regions, and you end up having to confront like her sister who tries to like betray you, and she's like tried to kill off the whole family because she's like jealous because you sent her away. You got the archer, Sensei Ishikawa. He was really cool as well because he's like a mentor to Jin Sakai as well throughout the game. And he teaches you a lot about archery, and I think it's like Tomoe or Tomo, I don't quite remember the name. He's like protege, his student betrays him, and then you have to find out what's happened to her and hunt her down throughout the whole game as well. You had the comic relief character Kenji, who's just like this bumbling, fumbling idiot who constantly gets himself into these ridiculous situations where he's probably going to get killed and skinned alive or sold off or an arm chopped off, and Jin has to constantly rescue him from these things. And he's like trying to do the right thing, but he's like so dumb and he just keeps doing the right thing in the wrong ways. And he even actually appears in the DLC He's the only side character that appears in the DLC in Ikki Island. And again, he's doing the right thing in the wrong way, and Jin has to save him again. And at first, I didn't quite like him as much. I'm like, it was clear, okay, this is the comic relief character. But afterwards, I'm like, you know what, I actually like it, because like every character and the game's story and setting, it's so serious. And here's like that little bit of breath of fresh air, because he's like this really silly character that just gets into all these like impossible situations. So I actually really enjoyed Kenji's tales as well by the end. And then you had a character like Ryuzo, which is like a Straw Hat Ronin, which is like not samurais, but essentially like mercenaries, I guess. And he like, you know, ends up fighting for the Khoten Khan and the Mongols because he's trying to keep the Straw Hat Ronin alive and fed and together because, you know, everything's going to hell around him on the island. And eventually you have to actually fight him on a one-on-one duel, and he has all this regret. And it's sad that, like, you know, Jin has to do the right thing by putting him down, but at the same time you can see that Ryozo just really wanted to do the right thing by his people, the Straw Hat Ronin, and keep them alive, keep them fed during this whole Mongol invasion. And so that was like a sad little story as well. Norio, which is like a Buddhist warrior monk, I think you meet him in the second map of the game. He's really cool as well, and his story pans out. It's pretty dark by the end, because no matter what happened, instead of being like a traditional temple Buddhist monk, he ends up just going on like a massive killing rampage. All the Mongols that like killed his brother and captured all his friends and everything. I just wanted to touch on the fact that each side character in this game adds so much to the world, and it's all super unique, the stories they tell. And I really like that about the game's characters. I think it's probably the strongest suit, is because all the writing's actually believable, and all the characters' stories are different and unique, and they have different plot twists and turns and secrets and stuff like that. And it made the game so much better, because like every new region of the map that you were going to, there was like, all right, I've got a couple more quests for this quest line. And it just made it so much fun. Instead of having 50 different side quests in the game, there's probably is like 50 different side quests in the game actually. But instead of them all being just like meaningless side quests, you had some that are like pretty mediocre and basic. But then you had quests like this that were quest chains that lasted the entire game from start to finish. And it just was really nice to just like get a little piece more every time there's a region to explore in a new chapter. And it just kept you engaged in the actual story and caring about these characters. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Gameplay wise, it's pretty addicting. Like, there's a very nice gameplay loop to this game. It's a little simple, especially when you get it down pat in the later stages of the game. But there's like 4 combat styles. One you can use to block against like swords. One you can use to block against spears. One against shielding enemies, and one against like the hulking, bulky, brute style enemies. And so you can swap between the different sword styles to fight the different enemies. So at least it kind of keeps you on your toes. There's no lock-on system. I did find that a little bit weird. I got used to it very, very quickly, but I did find it weird because it's like a third-person action game, and because it's all like, it's very combo heavy, counter heavy, parry heavy. I found it a little weird that there's no log-on, but it's fine. You get used to it. I guess it adds a little bit more realism. You actually have to swing your sword in the direction of the enemy and block in the direction of the enemy most of the time, instead of just like locking onto an enemy like Sekiro and just spamming the attack button. So that was a little bit more believable. So it did add something to the combat, but the combat was a lot of fun, a lot of gory executions. The melee combat felt fairly impactful. I did enjoy it a lot, especially like just the ghost stance thing that you unlock. I think it's in chapter 2 or maybe the end of chapter 2. I don't quite remember. Where you build up kills, and then you unlock the thing where you can hold down the triggers, or the thumbsticks, I think it is, and you unlock like the ghost stance, and you can just like one-hit kill everyone in this like black and white mode, and it's really cool. It's fairly gory, like you're chopping off arms, you're chopping off heads, you're chopping off legs in some of the battles. Like, it's pretty gory, it's kind of fantastic, it's very fun. I guess the only thing I guess I could think of as not a negative, but something I might want to wish to see. I mean, you have a bow and arrow as well, and you have like a short bow and a long bow with different types of arrows, like explosive, fire, normal. I guess I would like to see maybe more weapons. I mean, you have like kunai as well as like a side throwing weapon, but like as a main weapon, it's just the katana, which is fine. I love katanas. They're like my favorite style of weapon, but it just would have been nice maybe in the sequel just to see him have like one other different weapon type, just to transform the combat just a little bit more. But it's not really a negative though, it's just something I guess where it's like, well, if they want to iterate on the game, they probably have to find something else than just using a katana for the entire game again. but I still really liked it. I really enjoyed the combat. The world itself is staggeringly beautiful. Now, I know it's like 4 years since the game's come out, but sometimes you tend to forget just how beautiful games are in general. And because like gaming has moved so quickly over the last 10 to 20 years that I'll look back and I'm like, wow, this game still looks really good for being 4 years old. But it's only 4 years old because of the style of game that it's in. The game's just so beautiful. Like just the open land. I'm going to throw up some pictures that I took throughout my playthrough using the photo mode. So like there'll be random pictures throughout this video as well of just like random shots that I've taken, but like the beautiful vistas. I love the weather effects as well, whether it's dusk, whether it's dawn, whether it's like your autumn leaves and some of the forests, where you got all the different colors of the different types of flowers and like the sakura trees and everything when you're riding through with your horse, the different lighting and just like the water. This game is like staggeringly beautiful, and I'm playing it on the PS5. I've got a 4K TV and a monitor, so it looks fantastic, don't get me wrong. But I can only imagine what this probably looks like on a PC, like a high-rigged PC, now that the game came out this year on PC. I can only imagine what this looks like. Absolutely maxed out to the core. Like, this game is already beautiful, like on a PS5 and a 4K TV. I can only imagine what it looks like on a PC, but absolutely stunning world. I cannot get enough of it. It was very addicting. And the things that you do around the open world as well, it's very fun. Most people these days, at least, because every game seems to be turning into some sort of goddamn open world checkbox list Ubisoft style game. That's just what it is. A lot of games tend to be just like, oh, let's make it open world. Let's make it open world. We're going to make sure the player keeps playing our game, keeps playing their game. We just don't have enough smaller linear games. And I think maybe that's one of the few reasons why I didn't play this game 4 years ago. I just wasn't in the mood for another open world game. And yet, now that I've played it now in the frame, because I haven't played an open world game like this in quite a while, apart from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth earlier in the year, I think I was just in the right state of mind. And so I never got bored playing this game in the open world. Like, I got the platinum trophies. I've done everything. I've done all the hot springs. I've conducted and made my own haikus, which are really cool. The Inari shrines, where you can pet the foxes, the little foxes, and you follow them around. And in the DLC Ikki Island, there's like cats and deer and monkeys that you can pet as well. And you can like use a flute and you can sing through them. The bamboo strikes, where you can test your reflexes on the controller of like button inputs really fast, which is really cool as well. All the different side activities, the different Mongolian locations that you can clear out, which are fairly standard, but make sense in this world. But I never got bored, and that's the thing I take away from this game is, despite the fact I spent 70 to 80 hours completing this game, getting the platinum trophy, doing the DLC, 100%ing all those trophies in that side map and that whole world, I wasn't bored. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm probably a bit more exhausted than bored, because I'm like, all right, 80 hours, I'm done now. I can move on to other games. But like, I wasn't bored doing it. Like when I looked at the trophies and I looked at the map and there was another thing to uncover, there was another question mark, there was something else to find, I was like, I never got that sense of, man, I've got to go over there and I've got to tick this thing off to finish off my completion. I was like, okay, cool, because I just enjoyed every aspect of the open world. Not everyone's going to be the same, and that's completely fine. And well, the nice thing about the open world is it's just all side content, including the side missions, with all the different companions you can have, which are just absolutely fantastic. I think that was probably the best part of the game for me. But if you don't like the side content and you only want to do a couple of the hot springs or the haikus or the shrines or the bamboo strikes, you don't have to do them all. You can only just do a couple, and you can just play the game normally. So that's really cool as well. But yeah, again, open world, absolutely staggeringly beautiful. Lots of things to find and do. I had so much fun and I never got bored, and I'll definitely remember that going forward. I guess I'll just quickly touch on the DLC, Ikki Island. So I really liked it. I think the main game is better. Although the story of Ikki Island, typical thing, you go over there, your boat crashes, you start exploring the island, you get captured, and then you got like this, like, you know, poison in you the whole time, the eagle's poison. You're trying to overcome it, you make new allies, you save the island, blah, blah, blah. It's very, very standard. But I thought the story was kind of nice just because it also touches on the story with Jin Sakai's father, which at the start of the game you learn that your father dies. This is actually the place that he dies, and you actually find out who killed him because you actually work with the guy who killed your dad. You don't realize until later. And so it's a nice thing. And there's all these flashbacks of you on the island as a kid with your father and all these conversations. And you have all these like flashback moments and everything. It's nice because it addresses the past a bit more, his relationship with his father. And I just really liked it because it gives him closure. It gives Jin closure to the whole saga. Because now, like, you know, the uncle thing's been dealt with at the end of the main game. Khotun Khan's gone. You just have to drive off the rest of the Mongols. The island's saved. And now, like, the past and your father has been finished as well. And it's just nice because it's like he comes to terms with the death of his father. You know, he acknowledges all his father's faults. And he's like, I'm not my father. I am my own person. And I just really appreciated that they actually kind of did a story that weaved into his past as well. Just so you can understand what happened to Ikki Island, what happened to Jin, and everything like that. So I really like that part of the game as well. And that's probably it. I've already been rambling for nearly 20 minutes plus now, so I'll leave it there. I don't want the video to be too much longer. But yeah, no, just a video on I played Ghost of Tsushima 4 years later, and I've platinumed it, got all the trophies, all the single player trophies anyway. I haven't done the multiplayer. I'm not going to do the multiplayer and the multiplayer trophies. Not 4 years later. I'm just don't have the time and not really interested. So it's fantastic. Like, I find there's very few faults with this game. One of the only things I probably didn't mention that I would consider a fault is the armor sets, because you can have different like cosmetics on your weapons and stuff like that, so you can kind of make Jin look like who you want him. The only thing I would say is I wish I could wear cosmetically the armor set that I want, but keep the stats or the abilities of a different armor set, because there's some really unique armor sets, especially one you get in Ikki Island, but I don't really like the look of them all. I just stuck with the ghost armor the whole time. That's like that's one of the very few minor things where I'm just like, damn, I really wish I could have done that, but I had such a fun time with this game. I highly recommend anyone, if for some reason you have not played this game, it's on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, it's now on PC, it's free on PlayStation Plus as of recording, the director's cut or the PS5 version. It runs so well, and it's got probably so many quality of life features the original game didn't have 4 years ago, which I don't know about, but it's so much fun, it's so good, it's definitely worth playing. And hopefully we'll only be another 1 year, maybe 2 between the next game, because we're already 4 years later and we know they're making a sequel of some kind. So hopefully we won't have to wait long for the next Ghost of whatever game it is. I don't think it'll be called Tsushima. It'll probably be Ghosts of something. So it'll be interesting, but I'm very much looking forward to it, and I'll replay this game and get the New Game Plus trophies in. But anyway, you've heard me ramble for like 20 plus minutes now on Ghost of Tsushima. Let me know if you've played this game down in the comment section. Again, there's nothing I could say that hasn't been said for 4 years, but I just wanted to at least have one video on the channel dedicated to this game, because I spent multiple months playing it. It's a near masterpiece open world game. It's fantastic. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's addictive gameplay loops. I just loved it, man. I really did. Like, I can't wait to see what they do next. Sucker punch. Anyway, if you enjoyed today's video, remember to like the video so YouTube knows it doesn't totally suck. Subscribe if you're new, if you're interested in more content. I just try and talk about the games and the things that I experience and that I like and sometimes dislike. And yeah, follow me on Twitter, join the Discord. I don't know, something algorithm-based nonsense. Anyway, hope you guys are having a fan-freaking-tastic rest of the day. And as always, my name is Zeno, and you guys take care now.